Welcome back. More than 385,000 people attended Lollapalooza last week. And look at all those people there. This weekend in San Diego, people will head to Waterfront Park for Summer Cross. It's a smaller version of the big one. And while safety measures are in place, some people want to know, hey, is it safe? Can we go out and enjoy a festival or a big event before the summer ends? Family medicine doctor at Sharp Rees-Stealy, Dr. Jyotu Sandhu, joins us now to talk best practices. Doctor, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Stella.
Of course. So, Doctor, with the Delta variant now a concern, what is your message to concert goers? We see those images of nearly 400,000 people out last weekend. What goes through your mind as a doctor?
Well, as a doctor and as a person who's enjoyed concerts myself for over 20 years and festivals, this topic's really near and dear to me. And but I've never, and nor has anyone else, dealt with a pandemic at this scale. And so the first thing that comes to mind as a human being and as a physician is public safety and the public safety measures that we all need to take.
So what public safety measures should we take place? I saw a picture that was circulating on social media right after this where people were saying you have hundreds of thousands of people going to these concerts like this, and then you have kids who are going back to school with masks on. This is what's circulating on social media. So what do you think needs to happen?
Well, we need to first and foremost advocate vaccination to everybody who's eligible to get vaccinated. That's sort of the crux of, that's the baseline protection here. If we all want to get back to normal, we should all be advocating and getting vaccinated. And then also adhering to social distancing guidelines, mask wearing. If we're all going to partake in something as big as these festivals, we should all adhere to the guidelines and the safety measures that are put in place by the event organizers, because it's all in our public safety and health.
What do you think about Lollapalooza's safety measures? Is it enough with the Delta variant concerns? What was it? People had to wear masks. You saw people without masks.
Well, I will say that, you know, when the results came in and they reported 90% vaccination rates, I was happy to hear that. But then I was also kind of disheartened to hear about how people are making fake IDs and such, which, you know, obviously that's not in the public interest of public health. Secondly, you know, ideally you want to have the whole population who are going to get vaccinated. I don't really think it's adequate to have unvaccinated people who have a negative test within the last 72 hours be okay, because theoretically someone can get hit with COVID right after they gave and submitted a negative test. And now they have an infection. They're not symptomatic because, as we know, on average it takes about 5 days for symptoms to appear. And now you're going into an event like that infected but not know that you're infected.
So if we are vaccinated, can we go to events without any worry? Are there precautions we should be taking? I mean, here in San Diego County, 70% of adults who are eligible are vaccinated.
If you're vaccinated, understand that you've significantly reduced your risk for severe injury or severe illness, hospitalization, and death. That being said, you also have to take into consideration your own pre-existing conditions, because that can pose a risk for yourself in spite of being vaccinated. Secondly, you want to make sure that when you go to these events, even if vaccinated, you're going with like-minded people who are going to practice the same safety precautions and measures that you are and that you trust. And thirdly, most important, you want to make sure that you're practicing these safety measures, because if you get infected, you might bring it home to those who are more vulnerable or who can't get vaccinated, such as children.
Yeah, doctor, so these events are happening. People, you know, 2020 was a year where everyone stayed home, so people do want to go and enjoy themselves. But as you're saying, be careful, be careful, be careful, right?
Absolutely. Be careful and stay safe.
Okay, doctor, thank you so much for joining us.